This is Bless Radio. It's Tuesday evening, just past 6 p.m. UK time. This is the Spiritual Discussion Program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Uprushin. I'm in southeast London, where the weather is overcast and I can call it a little bit cold. And but yes, that's how it is here. And with me, as usual, is Gregory. Gregory, how are you doing? And how is the weather where you are?
All is fine. It is still bright but cold.
Okay, similar to us here in London. Dear listeners, welcome to this spiritual discussion program. Today is the 23rd of April, and that is St. George's Day, which is supposed to be England's national day, although it's not a holiday in UK, but that's what it's meant to be. And according to my research, the St. George's Day is not only celebrated in UK or England, but also by Christian churches and countries around the world: Bulgaria, Ethiopia, Greece, Georgia, Portugal, Romania, Syria, Lebanon, Catalonia, Alcoy, which I don't know where that is, Aragon, and Rio de Janeiro. That's what my Wikipedia is telling me. And also, it is William Shakespeare's birthday, the famous playwright. Not only the birthday, but also his death is supposed to be the same day, 23rd of April. So, dear listeners, as I said, the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message. And we have a topic for discussion every week. The topic tonight is a necessary word. A necessary word. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one more way to contact us. That is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in your questions or comments in that box of Bless Chat. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail message? The Grail message in the light of truth by Uprushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized, and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover, through the intuitive perception, if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail message, Uptrushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic we are discussing tonight is a necessary word. A necessary word. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one more method of getting in touch with us, that is on the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, the number 1.com. If you go there, you'll see on the homepage a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any message with comments or questions. So, Gregory, as you know, I like to look in the dictionary for the meaning of the words in the topic. So tonight's topic is a necessary word. So the first big word there is necessary. And the meaning I got in the dictionary, there are 2 meanings. Needed to be done, achieved, or present. Essential. What do you say about this meaning, Gregory?
Well, thanks. First, there is a vibration in the background, some buzzing sound.
Let me put myself on mute. So go ahead, Gregory. What do you say about? Did you hear me? Oh, sorry.
Yes, I did.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I'll put myself on mute. So before I'll repeat the meaning again. I can hear the background myself if I'm. So yeah, that's I think we have to mute each other. So yes. So the word is necessary, and it's needed to be done, achieved, or present. Essential. That's what it says there. What do you say about that meaning?
Well, essential is okay.
Okay. Thanks. Yes. So let's look at the second one. It says determined, existing or happening by natural laws or predestination, inevitable. Yes, what do you say about this one, Gregory?
These ones we just read out only describe, so they are appropriate to some extent.
Okay. Um, we're going to find out more later as we go. So, well, let's continue. The next word is, well, it's the word, it's word. And so the meaning I got there, again, two meanings they're given in the dictionary. The first one, a single distinct meaningful element of speech or writing. Um, I'm going to just stop there because I don't think the rest of it is necessary. So I'll just repeat that. So the first meaning of the word is a single distinct meaningful element of speech or writing. How good is that meaning, Greg?
Well, whenever we talk of meanings, one must be careful because there are two basic or fundamental meanings. The first one is the intellectual meaning, which is to a large extent superficial. And the second meaning is the intuitive one, which conveys the real import. It conveys the picture which is all embracing. And it's that which should be looked at. For the intellectual one, to some extent, points to the intuitive picture. It is that which gives the real import, which is beneficial.
Thank you very much, Gregory. And I want to now give you the second meaning in the dictionary, for the meaning of the word, which is command, password, or signal. Is these meanings words any useful for the definition of word?
Well, they are all pointers anyway.
Okay. So what I will do now, Gregory and listeners, this topic that we chose tonight, a necessary word, it's actually name of the lecture in the Grail message, exactly the same, a necessary word. And what I thought was I would like to read that part of that lecture, which is just the beginning, you could say the first page, just under a page, from that lecture, so that we can have like a context for our discussion. So this is from the lecture, A Necessary Word, from the beginning. Be on your guard, spirit of man, for your hour has come. The time which you so ardently desired, which is granted to you for your development. You have spent it only in wickedness. Beware in your presumptuous intellectual conceit that has thrown you into the arms of darkness, which today holds you triumphantly in its clutches. Look upwards. You are standing in the divine judgment. Awake and tremble, you who in your narrow-mindedness and limited outlook swarm around the golden calf of earthly transience, like moths attracted by deceptive brightness. It was because of you that Moses, in his wrath of disappointment, once shattered those tablets of the laws of your God that were to help you to ascend to the light. This breaking of the tablets was the living symbol that the entire humanity did not deserve to have knowledge of this will of God, of the will which they rejected in their wanton behavior and earthly arrogance, in order to dance ground a self-made idol, and thereby follow their own desires. Now, however, the end is at hand in the final reaction, in the consequences, in the retribution. For now you will be shattered by the will once so frivolously rejected. Neither lamentations nor pleading will help any more, for you were given thousands of years to come to your senses. But you never had time for that. You did not want to. And even today, with incorrigible arrogance, you think yourselves much too wise, that just in this greatest stupidity reveals itself. You do not want to see. So listeners, that was from the message, the lecture in the Grail message called A Necessary Word. I just read like the first page from there. So Gregory, I have lots of questions from these words. Now, you know, we've chosen the topic to be a necessary word, which is the same as the lecture title in the Grail message. But I was wondering, this necessary word, is it referring to the word of God sent through his messengers here, or is there, or that is another word?
The expression, a necessary word, is only a figure of speech. A figure of speech which shows or which calls to many or to all. It calls to all to awake intuitively, to awake spiritually, and understand the events which are taking place here on earth and also in the universe. That is why it is a necessary word. Only those who are intuitive enough, or those who are spiritually vigilant or alert, are able to grasp it aright. Else, for others, it is meaningless.
Thank you very much for this answer, Gregory. In that writing or text I was reading, it mentions about Moses bringing the laws of God, or the tablets of the laws of God, and then he is saying that Moses broke those tablets in disappointment, or in wrath, I should say, because of his disappointment. Of how, well, we know the story, those of us who know the story, when Moses brought out the 10 commandments of God from the mountain that he went to, and when he came down, he saw that the Jews that he had just saved from the Pharaohs, after having been enslaved for, I think, almost 400 years, or at least 200 something years, they seem to be, I would say, how can I say, lost their way. And he had come to give them the commandments. And so he was so disappointed and angry that he broke them. But what it said there, Gregory, it was not only the Jews who failed that were with Moses, but the whole humanity. So I was wondering, how can that be really so? Because the commandments were only given to those Jews with Moses. So how can the rest of humanity be, how can I say, guilty in this, you could say, because they hadn't known those laws yet.
Neither did the people to whom Moses brought these laws, they themselves had not even known of the laws. However, over time, these sect of people, this group of people whom Moses led, had been prepared through very harsh experiences in their suffering under Pharaoh over millennia. And all this while, they had remained faithful in their sensing about the power that streams from on high. But what were they to make of this power? They did not know. Hence, on the arrival of Moses, he was able to help pull them out of the land of Egypt. And in that case, he was already saying that once these same people were out from the clutches of the Egyptians, they fell back. They were satisfied with themselves, and they wanted to go back to the evil ways they used to live. But only very few of them really understood what suffering or what had precipitated the suffering under the Pharaohs. And now they were out. They needed to have a thorough understanding. In that case, Moses had to take leave of them in order to have clarity and to receive clarification about the laws of creation, through which, if the people he led, if they followed these laws, they themselves would arrive at their destination. By destination, their spiritual destination, where they will be able to live with others. For they had suffered greatly. That was a strong experience within them. Now, having received these laws which Moses had brought them, they were to make use of it to know how to behave themselves, how to compose themselves, such that the streaming power from on high will strengthen them, not only physically, but also in their thoughts and in their intuitions. In that case, it will bring them to a quick maturity. And when you have that scenario in which they have received of these laws, and had they made use of these laws to bring them benefits spiritually, then subsequently, in their further advancement, they would be in touch with others who were not so matured, and they could then explain to the others how they should compose themselves and also acquire some benefit, albeit spiritually. So the word which Moses brought was in the first place necessary for those who had some conception of the power that streams from on high. But how to comport themselves to use this power, they themselves did not know. And Moses, it was his task to show them how to live first among themselves and subsequently amongst others, such that it will be of benefit first to themselves and subsequently amongst others whom they needed to interact with. So it was not a teaching meant for just one group of people. It was meant for all. But of course, those who understand it better were forced to make use of it, to understand it aright before introducing it to others.
Thank you very much for this answer, Gregory. And I just remembered now, it is Passover celebration right now, this week. So that is perfectly good timing for this discussion and topic this part of the topic we're talking about now with Moses. So thank you, Saddam. That puts it again also another context here. But the couple of points I want to take from what you have said just now there, Gregory. So Moses brought them these laws of the Almighty, and the aim is for the Jews to learn how to, you could say, behave not only in the earthly behavior, but also in spiritual behavior. And maybe people take these laws to be for the earth rather than more than the earthly. So this, I think people miss that side of things. And then my question was asking, what about the other people who are not Jews? Because they, the way I see it, Gregory, God created human beings, not only the Jews, if they think they think themselves even the chosen people. So if there's a knowledge of God to be given, it shouldn't be given to only one set of people. It needs to be given to all God's people. So before I ask that question, I was going to ask that in a minute. I just want to share with the listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message, by Uprooting. And if you wish to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we are discussing tonight is a necessary word. A necessary word. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 00447939641958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, the number one.com. And there, if you scroll down the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in that box. As I said, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number one.com. We are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number one, space, live stream. That's to listen to the live show, which broadcasts on Tuesday evening. That's 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number one there, space, Grail, message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is a necessary word. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we're broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM /Bless Radio 1. That's the Yes, are we ready? Okay, listeners, I believe we are back again uh, on Bless Radio. And apologies for the breakdown. Unfortunately, some interference happened. So hopefully you can all listen to us again. I think we lost about, let's say, 10 minutes or so. So, dear listeners, and Gregory, I was saying that Moses brought the laws of God to the Jews, and they were meant to learn them and practice them. Oh, just excuse me a second. I think we are back. I was just getting confirmation about that we are back on broadcasting. So if somebody can check that, please. I think we are back. I'm
We
gonna.
are back.
We are back. Oh, good. Thank you very much. So apologies, listeners, for this interruption. Some sort of fault happened, and we lost our connection to everybody, so we couldn't broadcast. So we are now back. I'm glad to say that. Just a quick recap. This is the show tonight is on the word, a necessary word, which is also the title of a lecture in the Grail message. And I read a bit of text from the beginning of that lecture, which talked about Moses giving after the when the Jews had been freed from the clutches of the pharaohs, and he had now come to a place, a mountain, I think it's on Sinai, that he brought down the tablets of the laws of God, the Ten Commandments, to the Jews. And in fact, it is a Passover. People are celebrating. The Jews are celebrating at this time, so it's a good timing. And so, but when he came down, he noticed that the Jews seem to have lost their way and no longer seem to be following. How they are meant to behave. So, in his disappointment and anger, he broke the tablets. And but this knowledge, Gregory, as you said, this knowledge of the laws of God, which is not only for the Jews, but it's for whole humanity. But the Jews were supposed to be, let's say, were being given the opportunity to receive it first and practice and pass it on to the rest of humanity. In fact, Gregory, as we know, they call themselves the chosen people, as if they have been blessed by God, in this way. Maybe I can ask about that first, Gregory. What does this meaning, the word chosen people, mean? Because does it mean that these human beings, these Jews, are supposed to be somehow superior to other human beings? Or, what does it mean?
Actually, there seems to be so much confusion with that expression, the chosen people. For the facts first have to be known. Looking at all other peoples in their practices, in their calls, many of them had different names in their recognitions, names of places like Olympus, and the rulers of these different places, which they were able to perceive. They were all of them scattered all over the earth. That means they were able to recognize that power streamed through these different beings that they were able to recognize. These beings, being servants of the Almighty, were of the animistic. Therefore, those who followed them based on the limited knowledge they had. But the people that Moses led at that time had risen above that in their practices, in their cults, and had perceived of the power streaming from on high, albeit from a source, from one source, not from many sources. In their recognition, they have come closer to the facts, but they were still not very clear of what to make of this particular recognition. Because they had come to this recognition as a fact, they were then matured enough to receive of how they should practice with this particular fact. That means being the first to come to that recognition amongst all other peoples on earth, they were then chosen for the responsibility. And the key here is responsibility. They were chosen for the responsibility to first understand it because they had the capability of understanding it in their recognition, in their practices, and in accordance with the law, he or she who receives must first make use of it and then pass it on to others. Therein lies the responsibilities. So, they were chosen in their recognition to carry out the responsibilities of mentoring others, of living by examples to the others who had not come to that same level of recognition. And that is why you find in the Ten Commandments, it was given in such a way, step by step, how they should live amongst themselves and how they should live among others in order not to entangle themselves, which entanglement will draw them down instead of upwards. Sadly, when Moses came down with these tablets of the law, he already saw them, or he just saw them, violating all that he had just brought them, for they had turned completely away, showing in a short period of time lack of patience, lack of understanding, after all the help and examples that the light had granted them, pulling them away from the land of Egypt. In disappointment, he shattered the tablets of the law. That says much on the so-called chosen people. The responsibilities they already rejected by their behavior. So, to be chosen is based on one's recognition. However, it doesn't stop there. To fulfill in the recognition is to practice what has been passed on to them and through examples show others how it is to be. Only when that task has been successfully carried out, only then can one say truly, in fact, they are choosing. Else, they are not by their activities when they violate these laws and sink back lower than they were initially.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this explanation about the chosen people and the real definition of that. People look at it as if they are superior, but actually the responsibility, as you pointed out, not about just living their own life, but also passing to their fellow human beings, which they failed even before they could, do the first thing. So it's really quite a disaster there, and so yes, you can see that incredible consequences when you think, oh, one person has gone wrong or one people have gone wrong, that it's impacting only on them, but it's actually impacting on the rest of humanity as well. And somehow the rest of humanity must have deserved that if these Jews failed, then the rest of humanity must not have been standing aright either if they could not receive that help, So that also shows something. And there's one thing I wanted to pick up on, Gregory. You used the many peoples and rulers and so on who also are, let's say, aware of the power that streams through creation, and they have come to a recognition of the beings, the nature beings, let's call them, around us, and maybe they have yet still to know the source of all power, the Almighty. They haven't quite perceived that yet at that moment, and the Jews were, let's say, had been allowed to see that power, and so they were, let's say, leading in that regard. So yes, I wanted to explore, let's say, look at that as well, because there are other human beings, of course, which we cannot put aside. And so what I want to ask, Gregory, these other beliefs or spiritual teachings that other people have been following, like, let's say, Hindus, the Romans, the Greeks, they would have many gods in little g, we use that word, or nature beings, as I'm calling it, and everywhere in the world, Africa, Americas, and so on. Basically, they said you could call them ancient civilizations or prehistoric times. These traditions came. So, could I ask, Gregory, are those olden teachings, which you don't see much of in today's times, were they wrong, or were they, how can I say, limited somehow? Because we don't see too much of it in today's world, this teaching. There's Hinduism is quite big, I have to admit, but all the other ancient teachings don't seem to be around that much. They've been taken over by the monotheistic beliefs. So I just want to understand, Gregory, those ancient teachings with many gods, as I said, is there something wrong with that, or was that just initial recognition? What can you tell us about it?
When observed correctly, one would find that these so-called ancient teachings, or which led to some recognitions, these recognitions were tied to the nature beings which they were able to perceive. The activities of the nature beings which have to do with fire, water, the earth, the wind, all these activities were quite recognizable by some, and they held on to it. They did not move further. However, one would not say that they are wrong, but they were in error if they then concluded that these same nature beings are the origin of all power. For these nature beings are points of transmission of power from on high. The people that Moses led at that time had come to that recognition, recognizing that these nature beings are only points of transmission, and have in their intuitions risen higher than that. Because they had risen higher, they were in a position to understand the laws of creation through which these nature beings and themselves came into existence. These laws of creation, these laws of nature, which one may also call the divine laws, they were in a better position to grasp it aright, for their foundation rose higher. The other teachings could not get there because they were still held up with these beings of nature, and their perception did not rise higher. Like he said, it wasn't that they were wrong in their recognition. These were facts, but they did not make further efforts to understand it aright in order to rise higher. So it's like you have people start in their kindergarten, and from their kindergarten, they now move to the primary school, and then go to, that means they are making progress from one stage to the other. As at that time, when Moses had to lead them, they had established within themselves the concept of the one supreme source of power. And that being the case, in reciprocal activity, they were to mediate their understanding to others. That was the responsibilities which they bore.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for that, again, explanation there. Again, I want to remind the listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message, by Uprushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic we are discussing tonight is a necessary word. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 00447939641958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, that is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is Bless Radio 1, the number 1 there, .com. And if you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in your message with any questions or comments there. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space, live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space, Grail, message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is a necessary word. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, the number 1 there again. Now, I just want to read again a little bit from this text from the lecture of the same name as the radio show tonight, is a necessary word, just the first few words, just to bring us the context again. And I can continue with further questions from there. So, this is, as I say, the lecture called A Necessary Word from the Grail Message, and it begins. Be on your guard, spirit of man, for your hour has come. The time which you so ardently desired, which is granted to you for your development, you have spent only in wickedness. Beware, in your presumptuous intellectual conceit that has thrown you into the arms of the darkness, which today holds you triumphantly in its clutches. Look upwards. You are standing in the divine judgment. I'm going to just stop there, Gregory. So this is talking about now, or the time when Abrushin wrote the Grail Message, let's say. And he's saying we are, the hour has come, and the time which you ardently desired, which was granted for your development. And he says that in your presumptuous intellectual conceit, which has thrown you into the arms of the darkness, which today holds you triumphantly in its clutches. Look upwards. You are standing in the divine judgment. So, Gregory, can you please tell us, is that divine judgment that has been prophesied as the day of judgment, the day of resurrection? Because there's a different term being used here. Is that the same as that? And if so, what does it mean?
The divine judgment follows unconditionally in accordance with the laws of creation, the laws of nature, in which when a human spirit granted the opportunity to mature, sows his seeds through his activities, there comes a time when there will be returns. In this particular instance, in the sowings in creation, in which the human spirits left their origin as spirit germs, in accordance with the laws of nature, of reciprocal activity, there will be a turning point in which these human spirit germs should have matured to such an extent such as to be able to direct their gaze upwards spiritually, direct their gaze upwards as maturing or self-conscious human personalities being prepared to go back home as self-conscious human spirits. That is the time when you have that where they themselves were sown in to mature, which is basically in the world of matter. That world of matter comes to a stage or a state of ripeness before it becomes overripe, and decay then sets in which the world of matter will start decaying and will not be able to support the maturity of human spirit again. So at that turning point is what is referred to as a turning point in the reciprocal activity, which is now inputs the divine judgment. For judgment only means that which has been granted the human spirit to make use of, you give an account. So if you have been granted time to make use of something, to make use of a tool, to make use of a space, of course, when that time comes to an end, you need to give an account. And giving an account is what is referred to as the divine judgment. It does not mean you are expecting someone to sit down and you have to come to him and start recounting what you have done. By their works, many reveal what they themselves have been up to since they were granted that opportunity. By their works, not only the works which one is able to perceive with his or her five senses, but the works of the Spirit. That is what is referred to.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and explanation. Can I just ask the question that I said initially, so if you can include this part of it. So is the divine judgment the same as resurrection, the day of resurrection and the day of judgment? Because it's a different term, and some people might not be able to say that is the same words or same thing or something else. So because some, as I say, for people who have come from these words, divine judgment may be new to other people, and they may be more familiar with day of resurrection or day of judgment. So is those two other terms the same as the divine judgment, Just want to get that clarified.
Again and again, the stress is that these are figures of speech. The day of judgment is, in quotes, a period of judgment, because one will be thinking that expression day means 1/8 day, and 1/8 day only means maybe 12 hours. The other hours are night. That is an intellectual way of looking at it. Whereas in a more spiritual sense, in an intuitive sense, that day of judgment is a period of judgment. The day already gives the strong impression that it is not night. That means there is that period in which there is light. There is the resources of the light, albeit spiritually. The light and the truth, in which the light and the truth are available. That is what one refers to as day. That means one is awake during the day. To be awake during the day only means one is engaged in activities. Engaged in activities, albeit at the daytime, means one is exerting his or her physical body, doing all sorts of things. In a similar fashion, there is the exertion of the spiritual abilities to recognize the light and to recognize the truth. For recognition to be possible, the spirit must be awake in activities spiritually. So awakeness is embedded in all these things. So when one hears of the days of judgment, right, one must perceive these things spiritually. In fact, at the beginning of that reading, it was directed, that speech, a necessary word, is directed at the spirit. It is very clear there. However, these concepts must be taken in gradually, and subsequently it becomes very clear. For the roots to understanding the concept, very clear. However, it is advisable for some who wish to have complete clarity to avail themselves with the work in the light of truth, the Grail message of Abraham. For the work talks of the light and also explains what the truth is. For only the light and the truth can set the human personality free to wander forth back home as a self-conscious human personality.
Thank you very much, Gregory. The other word I used was day of resurrection. Now, I know you've been saying we need to look at these things spiritually. So I guess the day of resurrection is about the resurrection of the spirit, not the body. Because what I was going to ask you, people who, let's say, follow this belief of day of judgment or day of resurrection, they think, oh, we must be dead before the judgment happens. But we are but if we look at these things in the spiritual sense and not in the literal earthly physical sense, because people think, uh, oh, I must die, and then the judgment will come. And then, but I also think in my head, okay, what about the baby who was born and he died, he or she died very quickly, so he never really lived, you know? So what would happen? What sort of judgment would that baby will be having if he just lived a few moments? You can say he hardly even did anything except breathing. So what would really is this? Could you just go into is the resurrection of the day of resurrection? Is this let's say it is meant to mean the resurrection of our spirit? Does that mean an awakening of the spirit? Is that what it means?
Only an awakeness to be awake to the events in a spiritual sense. Only that is some form of resurrection. Resurrection and awakeness are symbiotic, they are the same. For whoever is not awake is asleep. And whoever is asleep, can you say that person has resurrected? It's as if when one is asleep, one has gone to bed. It means that the faculties of recognition of the earthly events are not in full swing. It's asleep. But when the person awakens, it's some form or a type of resurrection. For the person had gone to bed and has now awoken. But now in a spiritual sense, here you have the human personality, the spirit, which is the inner core of man. The inner core of man, which is not exerting itself to further recognition. But as soon as it's able to do that, it awakens, it resurrects from the ignorance, from the lack of knowledge, from the lack of recognition. Actually, resurrection and recognition are very, very close. One may use resurrection and recognition in one place or the other. They are basically the same. And that is why it is said again and again, awake, awake and examine. For if one is not awake, how then do you examine? Only those who are awake, only those who are awake to further recognition have resurrected. Else, they are asleep.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for that answer. I want to read again a little bit in a small section from this lecture in the Grail message called A Necessary Word, and then we can discuss it. It says, now, however, the end is at hand in the final reaction, in the consequences, in the retribution For now you will be shattered by the will once so frivolously rejected. Neither lamentations nor pleading will help any more, for you were given thousands of years to come to your senses. But you never had time for that. You did not want to. And even today, with incorrigible arrogance, you think yourself much too wise. That just in this, the greatest stupidity reveals itself, you do not want to see. I'm going to stop there. Gregory, there's one number of points in there which I would like to discuss or talk about. Um, One of them, it says, you have been given thousands of years to come to your senses. So my thinking was, let's say many people will say, oh, we have this one earth life, which nobody lives for thousands of years. So maybe maximum maybe 100 years. So how can it be that we are being given thousands of years to come out to our senses? Is it maybe we have some possibility in when we die and go into the beyond that we can come to our senses there?
Like has been stressed, that expression, a necessary word, is a figure of speech directed to the spirit of man. It is the spirit of man that needs to understand it. That means these words spoken, they are absorbed by the individual intellectually, and they flow from the frontal brain to the back brain and goes from there through the solar plexus to the spirit, or to the soul and finally to the spirit as the final destination. Therefore, the language as such is all embracing. All embracing in the sense that the spirit of man has been granted periods of multiple incarnations on earth to experience. So, that time that has been granted to it runs into thousands of years if one has to consider that which is earthly. The incarnation of man, in which the individual spends maximum, like you said, 100 years, is only a short period in which the soul is permitted the use of an earthly body in order to experience here on earth. Once the soul withdraws from the physical body, a process known as death, it continues to experience. It continues to mature if in its activities in the beyond, it strives after the truth. What the soul is striving for is the recognition of what the truth is the recognition of what the light is. For only through the light and the truth, in comprehending what the light is that animates it, and the truth is, which truth is the path it needs to follow, only through such can it come to the maturity necessary for it to go back home to its origin as a self-conscious personality. A self-conscious personality conscious of its tasks and responsibilities. For it had received the possibilities through the laws of creation, through the power in creation that granted it the possibility to mature from an unconscious spirit gem, from the state as an unconscious spirit gem, to that of a matured spirit gem, and subsequently a self-conscious personality. Then responsibilities fall in. It is that responsibility, the consciousness of it, that is able to guide it back home.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this picture that you've painted there. It really shows, the journey of a human being, the spirit, is, so let's say, different time span to what let's say most of us human beings think about the life on Earth. So, and that's why this word spirit is very key to understanding about life. We need to use the spirit to understand life, and not let's say focus purely on earthly understanding, because then we will never know the true life, which is really the spirit, let's say spiritual life. And that could be a new concept for many people, because they have been focused so much on the earthly and material life. We're going to continue to explore this topic tonight, called a necessary word, in a moment. I just want to let the listeners know that you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from Tuesday evenings from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of this show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message, by Updrushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail message, or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing is a necessary word. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 004479 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside, and if you're, there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1.com. And on the homepage, if you scroll down, you will see a box called Bless Chat. And if there you can type in any questions or comments. As I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1.com. We are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space live stream. That's for our live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And you can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 there, space Grail message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is a necessary word. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, you talked about repeated Earth lives, which can be referred to as reincarnation. So, what I was wondering there, Gregory, we know that there's a law, you could say, of sowing and reaping, or law of a reciprocal action. What you sow, you get, you reap. We know that harvest, or action and reaction, the reciprocal action. You can see that. So. And in reincarnation, you can see that is happening there. You do something, and then you pass on. I mean, you live all your life on Earth. You do your deeds and so on, and then let's say it can be understood that when you come back in your next life on the Earth, that is, you will there'll be consequences that maybe didn't happen in your first life, the previous life, that could happen in the next life, this and the second life, you could say. I just use that as a way of portraying it. And so what I'm trying to say there, Gregory, surely when we look at this divine judgment, we are always having a judgment, or, as you say, reciprocal action happening to whatever we do. Each time when, let's say, we are sowing, we are reaping, we are going to be sowing later in the next life, if not in this life. And it will continue each time there is a reincarnation, you can say. So I was wondering, Gregory, there, what is the need for this, people sometimes call it final judgment or divine judgment, as we're calling it here, if all the time what we sow, we are reaping automatically anyway through the next life that we come. So what's the purpose, you can say, or the bigger purpose of the divine judgment, if we are already having, let's say, reciprocal action to our actions?
Again, thanks for this question, although one had made a reference to it, the answer, in the sense that, of course, there had always been reciprocal activities. In this particular case, one has to consider that here we are in the world of matter. The world of matter is not permanent. The world of matter is temporal. And in that case, the world of matter is temporal. It means it comes into being in accordance with the laws of creation, the laws of nature. It matures to an extent, and then subsequently it will disintegrate to its primeval substances. That is in accordance with the the laws of nature. In this particular instance, when the divine judgment or the final judgment is mentioned, that is within the context that the reciprocal activities which had accrued in the past, which needed to be redeemed in the world of matter, which world of matter is now becoming overripe. In that case, it means the world of matter is growing to a closure. Because it's growing to a closure, the reciprocal activities that has accrued from the activities of man in the world of matter will need to come to a closure. It is the coming of a closure that is final. In that case, the human personality that has arisen as a spirit germ is supposed to have been so matured that in its subsequent activities, it is able to go back home as a self-conscious human personality. So the reciprocal activity that has accrued needs to be redeemed before the world of matter disintegrates to its primeval substance. And that scenario, that event within that scenario becomes the last opportunity that the human spirit has to redeem itself, to give accountability for what is judgment other than accountability. For that which was done within the world of matter has to be redeemed in the world of matter. So, it's perfectly in line with the laws of nature, with the laws of creation. With laws of creation made it possible for the world of matter to come into being, albeit on a temporary basis, such that it, in maturing, will produce the opportunities for the human spirit germ to mature in it, grow strong, and go back. When the world of matter now goes into disintegration to its primeval substances, it will go back and reconstitute under renewed powers. That is a different discussion. But at this point where disintegration is setting in, because it has come to the maximal, you now find that all those who have entangled themselves in the world of matter need to get out in good time. Else, they themselves will be caught in the world of matter during its disintegration, and in that case, they themselves will have to undergo the strong pain of disintegration and the structure which they had cultivated, the human form which the spirit gem had cultivated. That human form will now be dispersed and it will return as a spirit gem, not as a self-conscious human spirit. That is why it it is so important that the human personality must, of necessity, come to a recognition of the light and the truth and the responsibilities that has accrued from these recognitions, so that it can then adjust its activities such that its activities will bring benefits not only to itself, but in resonating with the rhythm of creation, is able to transmit joyfulness and happiness to others.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer and picture again about this divine judgment and reincarnation, and which is on the earth, and how the laws of nature work there. Now, Gregory, I just want to again read back from this lecture the necessary word, just to look at another point. So this is, I'll just repeat it, what we had read in a way already. Now, however, the end is at hand in the final reaction, in the consequences of in the retribution. For now you will be shattered by the will once so frivolously rejected. Neither lamentations nor pleading will help anymore, for you were given thousands of years to come to your senses, but you never had time for that. You did not want to, and even today, with incorrigible arrogance, you think yourselves much too wise. That just in this, the greatest stupidity reveals itself, you do not want to see. Now, Gregory, this time we've had for our spiritual development, not earthly. You could say there is earthly development, but it's the spiritual development that we are being judged on, you can say. So now you could, how is it, Gregory, that we have so, in this lecture it is being said we have basically been arrogant, we have been incorrigible arrogance, and did not want to even, could say, spend time to, let's say, recognize or follow the laws of the Almighty. Now, I want to understand, Gregory, what happened there, because, or what exactly is supposed to happen that didn't happen, because in a way, when you look at human beings, there is a goodness. We have good and evil. We know that in every person, even. But how come is it that let's say, the evil in us seems to be more able to, or has been so developed in us that the good cannot overcome it, because you think of look at the world, look at the people in the world, and you think, yes, there are evil people, of course, and then there's also good people. But this statement seems to refer to all the human beings, if I'm not misunderstanding that all the human beings have not, let's say, followed these laws of the Almighty. So can you please help us to understand that?
The statement didn't really say that. I think it's an over-exaggeration. Again, these words are directed to the spirit of man. that has come into existence in creation and has to experience in the world of matter in order to mature, particularly those here on earth. Therefore, it would be wrong to say it's referring to all human personalities. There are some that have, through their activities, resonated with the power that flows in creation, and hopefully we're able to go back home as self-conscious human personalities. As the question, as to say there are some with evil, and there are evil human beings and bad human beings and good. Each human personality has the free will to choose, has the free will to make decisions. And it is this free will to make decisions that in it lies the responsibilities. For looked at from a very simple angle, you do not hold plants responsible, you do not hold animals responsible for their activities, neither do you hold children responsible for their activities, but you only hold a matured personality responsible for their activities, because behind it is the free will. If we had no free will, then there will be no responsibilities, because we don't have free will. That we have free will means responsibilities are attached to it. It is how we have handled these responsibilities that counts. If we have used our free will in such a way as to be able to draw powers from on high, that means to be in resonance with the will, with the laws of creation, through which we ourselves came into existence, then in that resonance, which one may refer to as the attraction of homogeneity, we are able to strengthen ourselves and, as examples, as pages, influence others who may not be as matured as ourselves. If, however, using our free will, we in error draw these same powers, but instead of using these powers in accordance with the will of the Almighty, we use these powers for selfish gains, for impatience, for wickedness, then that is not in accordance with what is intended by the will of the Almighty. In that particular scenario, we spin threads, which threads bind us to what we have precipitated into existence, what we have formed, and therefore we are unable to sever ourselves. It doesn't mean that every activity we take is in a downward direction or is in an upward direction. Many times, human personalities incarnate on earth in order to experience. It is how they respond to the challenges which have now faced them, which challenges is only a result of partially a reciprocal activity of what they had sown in the past, and also other influences, and in accordance with that of homogeneity and reciprocal activities, the human personality is now confronted with a new challenge to make a decision, to be in accordance with the will of the Almighty or not to be. That decision is an intrinsic part of the human spirit. So that is what either elevates the human personality or drags it down in accordance with the laws of gravitation or spiritual gravitation. For any activity which resonates with the will of the Almighty, that is of benefit to the human spirit and its neighborhood, such activity elevates, sucks the personality upwards. Whereas any activity which negates such precipitates some densification. It is that densification that makes it sinks. And because it sinks, those threads will hold him down here or hereafter until it's able to loosen itself with the manifold opportunities that are granted it. Again, to have a thorough understanding in accordance with the laws of creation and in accordance with the love in creation, it is best to avail oneself with the walk in the light of truth, which walk explains what the light is, which walk explains what the truth is, such that the human personality is able, for once, come to a better conception of what these things are and is able to sever itself and move forward.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer. One of the listeners sent me some, I will say, a question or comment, and I will just read it out. You don't need to respond to this, Gregory, so I just will just share it with the listeners. Whose necessary word? Whose necessary word? Yours, mine, theirs, or God? In a world where the servant puts itself far above its creator, amid an atmosphere of excessive glorification and of the self. And another point the listener has put forward, or question they ask, should such a necessary word truly exist? How should one know where to find it? How would one know that it is actual, a necessary word, for everyone, given that there are so many out there in the world. I'm gonna end up there. Uh, Dear listeners, I just want to now end the show by reading from the Grail message, the foreword, which is called For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring any religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abdushin. Dear listeners, I hope you've enjoyed the discussion on the topic of a necessary word. Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing all listeners a beautiful week.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. Hope you have a beautiful week, and we'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time, with another topic. Good night.